Good morning. I have a headache. And I have breakfast in front of me. So we're gonna eat that on stream today. I have my ibuprofen, I have my multivitamins, and I have my breakfast with just oatmeal with fig jam. It's one of those mornings, baby. It's one of those mornings. Oh. Hope that IBU kicks in once you take it. I hope so. The downside is it's not just a headache. It's a little bit of, like, not nausea, but, like, close to nausea, sadly. So that's rough. But hey-oh, that's okay. I'm gonna get cozy with a little blanket, with a cute little blankie. Yep. Okay. Nice. Cozy blankie. Yes. That's no. Yeah. 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 Could be caused by the pain. Could be the pain. Could be. That's very much a possibility. Little Dark Cloud, thank you for the resub. Happy 43 months. Whew. And Meta, thank you for the earwiggles. It's okay. It's okay. We're just having a time. It's fine. And Meta, thank you for the hydrate, breathe, and posture check. So, odds are the headache is just a tension headache. Meaning I need to exercise my shoulders a bit more. But that's okay. That's okay. We're taking it easy. Vertigo? Not vertigo. There's no dizziness, so that's good. Also the breathe. Thank you, man. Oh my gosh. Ingone, thank you for the raid. Welcome on in, Raiders. Let's see. Bo, you. Good morning, honey. Are you sick on your birthday? Feel good soon. Thank you. It's not my birthday, but thank you. My birthday was April. Welcome on in, Raiders. How was your art? What were y'all up to? I do apologize. I am not in... excuse me. The tip-top shape that most streamers are in. But that's okay. I have a headache and I'm a little nauseous. So today we're just chilling. We're just taking it nice and easy. It could be your birthday as a treat. You know what? Who's to say my birthday is just one day of the year? Who's to say it's just one day? Was just ranting and arting? Oh, very nice. Good stuff. We love when we get on to the rants while we're doing art. I love your stream. Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. That's so kind of you. What were y'all drawing, if you don't mind me asking? Is there anything in particular, or just like fun doodles? Feel free to send a Discord link to one of the mods, and we can check it out on stream. No worries if not, though. I don't want to pressure you, you know? Animated and drew a goblin this week. Ooh. Nice. I am pretty biased when it comes to that. Very good stuff. And Big Bo, thank you for the resub. Happy 50 months. I draw random stuff? Nice. I gotta get to drawing some more random stuff more often. Honestly, I think it would be better for my art skills if I just drew more random stuff. Because right now it seems very focused on a couple topics, and it's not bad, but I want to expand and grow my skills. Excuse the audio, by the way. I have oatmeal in front of me that I'm going to be slowly munching away on during this stream. Nothing important? I think art's important. I think it's important. Sticky boop. Hello, Kumori. Hello. But yes, for those of you who are just joining in, I woke up feeling ill, which is not the worst thing. It's okay. Sometimes that just happens. I wonder if that's just kind of adulthood for you, you know? Where it's like, congratulations, you hit your 20s and now you wake up sick every other morning because you didn't eat something or you ate something late. And I'm just like, please. Please. I have stuff to do. That's pretty much life? That's life? Wow. Wow, alright. I'm learning something new about adulthood every day. It's pretty rough. Crediting Honey with me starting to use the contraction y'all. She has infected me with yeehaw disease. Do people not use y'all in, like, casual conversation? Is that a thing people just don't use? Jerry Oatmeal? Thank you, Balrog. I'm gonna take a little bite. Oh, y'all. I often wake up with bad headaches if I didn't get a good sleep previous night. That makes sense. That makes sense. Now, perhaps this is just a me and my family thing. Do y'all say "in it," such as "isn't it nice"? "In it nice"? My Florida cousin laughed when I said that, and honestly, it made me question, do I just talk funny? Do I talk funny? At age 25, every 5 years afterwards, you get a random permanent debuff. Oh, so we roll the dice. We roll the dice here, I see. Constantly, educationally. Okay, okay. Y'all's a regional thing? Nah. Nah. Depends on your state. Myth, I know I do, and even before I met you, pretty model and beautiful voice. Thank you. Thank you very much, Jerkulus. That's kind of you to say. I made it myself. Isn't "in it" a bit slang? Brit slang? I don't know if it's Brit slang. My family sometimes says it. So maybe it's not Brit slang. People over 25 say they have issues with their knees, and my knees are strong as steel. Good. Good. My knees are fine, thankfully. Tell you what, let's change the music up for this. Let's change the music up for this. Let me get my favorite tunes out here. We're gonna listen to my chill playlist, which is just Blue Turtle. Let me know if it's too loud for y'all. We're just gonna be chilling, listen to Blue Turtle, and vibing. In it, British slang. Is that what I said? Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, we're turp accent. Yeah. Here, let me share the I'm on YouTube Music. But this is the what we're listening to currently. If y'all want to listen, because this is one of my favorites. This and Dark Forest are my favorite Blue Turtle videos. So close to 800k, only 800 points away. You got this, baby. You got this. Oh. Y'all, a compound for you and all. As in, y'all have a great day. Thanks, Marshmallow Mountain. Y'all better be having a good day. Midwestern here and y'all isn't a thing in my area. Really? Okay. Okay, okay. I see. I see. I am learning. I am becoming learned. This feels very Hollow Knight, very cozy. Exactly. Part of it is I really like Hollow Knight music. It's one of my favorite things to listen to. But, of course, if you listen to it too often, things can get repetitive. I'm just adjusting the blanket. And that's okay. It's okay for things to do that. Yeah, there we go. Oated meal. Oated meal. Gobbler's sick? Just a little sick. I think I woke up with a little... I woke up with a little... Dragon of Eternity, thank you for the gifted sub to Gamma Inc. And McBo, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Thank you very, very much. Oh gosh, it's a hype train. But I decided that instead of doing art, I would just do a nice chill stream to see if I would slowly feel better over the course of the stream. Preemptively named it a short stream because just in case I feel sick, it's fair warning that I will hop out. But if I feel better, we're good. Straight yapping. We're yapping. These are yapper hours. Oh, you know what I've been considering? So, this is in the. I need to stress this. We are going into the theoretical, the hypotheticals, where I don't know if I'll do this, but I've been musing with these ideas. No idea if I'm going to do them, so don't get excited. I will say that up front, where I have been seeing the really, really fun, like, asymmetrical models where the character is, like, leaning forward on a desk and, like, chatting with chat. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that looks so cute. I would love for someone to commission me for that. But what would I call that? Leon, I hope it's not serious. Hypothetical time, yeah. But I'm trying to think of poses that I could potentially offer if people wanted to commission them. So here's the fun thing about that. That is exactly what I love about what I love about those particular models is that they are basically rib cage up. It is nothing else below that. And the reason I love that so much is because that is what I've been saying for years. Where VTubers, you only need bust up rigging. You do not need the complex below the waist rigging, because not only is it really expensive and time consuming to do, but no one's really going to see it. Like, think about my model. Even with all of these toggles, the most you see is bust up. I made wings and a whole bunch of stuff below to challenge myself and figure out how to do it. But in terms of just chatting or playing games, you really only need the bust up. So if I offered those kind of rigging services, I wonder if I would charge, like, significantly less. Like, if someone wanted one, I'm trying to figure out how I would price it, because it would only be as expensive. It would be less expensive than my cheap model rigging tier, which is about 1,500. Maybe I would make it 800 to 1,000, depending on how many hair physics and, like, any extra stuff you have there, A smug pose looking at chat with one hand on her chin going, hey, exactly. That's what I'm thinking of, stuff like that. You can get so creative. You can have, like, one hand below the chin. You can have a hand, like, twirling hair. You can have a hand, like, holding a notebook and pen. You can have so many different poses that is just bust up. Also, if you have no legs, you can add a fishtail and become a mermaid. Exactly. You make it half off. You could call it a half off, half model. That's pretty good. What pose would you think of? Something a bit sultry, something a bit stern, excited. You could have so many varieties. You could have someone leaning in because, like, they're excited to listen. You could have someone just, like, casually leaning back like they're in a throne. You could have so many different poses. There's so many different poses with full body models too, but there's so much more work involved that can get in the way of the focus, which usually is the upper torso. And so I'm trying to think of, like, almost your character here style poses where I'm like, maybe that would be a fun rigging tier commission to do. You ever thought about making a customizable model? So yeah, Triash, I have. I've played with the idea a little bit. And unfortunately for me, I do not have the skill set to make one as good as Suika's. As well as, what would I do that is different than Suika aside from my model style? Because here's the thing. My art style is not just Goblin. It is extremely customizable. So what I like to do is not just have the same anime face every time. I like to have very different proportions. So if I were to do a customizable model, the face shape would be what changes. But that is extremely complex, and I do not really have the skill set to do that. Work is already on their BS. Oh, I'm so sorry, Meta. I'm so sorry they're doing it. What pose did you think of? Something a bit sultry? Oh, you already read that. But probably something casual and fun, You'd have toggle for holding a pen in their hand too. Yeah, exactly. A Boxster stance. Yeah, you could do a Boxster stance. You could do like a character, like, leaning in over the desk. You could have one leaning back. You could even have one that's, like, half facing away from you, like tilting their body away from you, and I think that could be really cool. There's so many good poses you could do. Now, do they want me to make roughly 100 pounds of food plus prep, 50 pounds of lettuce, 20 pounds of guac, and make food throughout the shift? Homie, no, they are working you too hard. In 3 hours, they're working you too hard. Would a back to camera pose be too different? So a back to camera pose could be really, really fun. And if you rig it correctly, you could have it so that your character can look over their shoulder at chat to talk while focusing on the screen. I think that's really cool. It might not be the best for showcasing the face. It would be bad, not bad, but it would not be ideal for just chatting, but it could be good for watch-alongs, for gaming streams, stuff like that. Let me eat a multivitamin. Side-eye chat. Yeah. I've been playing around with those. And genuinely, I think it is a really, really good thing for VTubers. Because we don't really use our full bodies. Specifically 2D models anyways. Is being a JPEG avatar easier than doing a normal 3D avatar? Yes. A PNG avatar significantly easier than doing 3D. You only have to draw it like once or twice if it's JPEG. 3D, you have to sculpt it, color, bone it, all that. Maybe you can make yourself a static PNG model as proof of concept of a legless desk model. I could definitely give that a shot. Like, again, this is playing in the space of I have so much work, I don't want to pile more on, but I want to do this in the future, you know? Looking back at chat like, Chad, is this real? Chad, are you seeing this? Could be fun. I like how creative people can get. Jasper, thank you for the 100 shinies. Who gave you permission to be sick? Illegal. Jill. To prison. To prison now. What if someone made a bust down only, like old cartoons where adult bodies are half out of frame? Oh yeah, like what was it, Miss Cerebellum? Was that her? I think that was her name. That one might not be too bad. Sorry, my throat is not warmed up because I was sick today. But I wonder, I think that might be a little difficult because if you think about Twitch streams, it is very much about relating to people. Like, it's both you and the streamer relating to each other with different experiences and chatting, you know? A bust down model makes it a little bit hard to remember a character. Whereas in a TV show, because of their jokes and voice acting and what they do in certain environments and how they interact with their character allows for the writing to make them more memorable. Rather than a streamer where it's a bit more intimate than a TV show, you know? So, hello, Squiggles! Miss Bellum could get it? She absolutely could. Miss Bellum could do whatever she likes. She's a strong, intelligent person. Let me eat some more oatmeal. What about a robot without hair physics with a tank chassis lower body that's not moving? Okay, that could be doable. That could be fun. That would just be upper body rigging, so yeah. As a kind of prototype of something in the future, since it wouldn't take too long. It would definitely be faster, and that's kind of what I want to test is how much faster would it be, you know? The mom and dad from Cow and Chicken. I don't think I've seen Cow and Chicken. PNG models can have a range of images, right? I recall someone using multiple images and not just talking and not talking. Yes, you can have many expressions and emotions, as well as like poses with PNGs. It depends on how much work you want to put into it. They did a good job hiding Miss Bellum's face during her fight with Seduce. So I didn't really grow up with Powerpuff Girls. I think that was just before me. And also, kid without cable. So, Whenever people were freaking out about the latest show in school, I was like, I don't know what y'all are talking about. I have books at the library. Let me eat my other multivitamin. I applaud the people that rig hair models for full bodies because they show their entire body during streams. It would require the model to be more fluid for full body VTuber content. I think we have hit a point where the standard for rigging artists has gone up so much that people are not used to the prices. So the amount of work that goes into a VTuber rig is a lot. Like a lot. So people are really jump scared when they suddenly see the price of a full body VTuber rig that is above 3,000. Some people can afford to charge that rate because they might live in a country where that is a livable wage. However, if they live in usually the Western world, that may not be a livable wage for artists here. It really, really depends. So I do my best to charge what I think is a reasonable rate for the amount of time I spent on models. You know? Imagine a bust down toggle for a model that when redeemed their head is above the screen and they're now talking like Charlie Brown adults. Could be funny. It could be funny. Balrog. Plus, I feel not being able to relate to a character is kind of the point of the kind of presentation because they're usually adults seen through the eyes of children. Yeah, true. So having it in TV makes a little bit more sense because they're not the main characters, you know? In a way, a streamer is kind of the main character of their space, you know? Not necessarily main character syndrome, but sort of like you are the focus of the screen, if that makes sense. First time hearing Right Off, your track is amazing. Thank you, Walter. Made it myself. I'm glad you like it. The artists from lower income countries can charge less, but really shouldn't. It's undercutting the Western artists and at the same time undervaluing their own work. So interestingly, I don't think it is the artist's fault, you know? They charge what they see as a living wage, and I cannot fault them for that. It is when the consumer doesn't understand that that artist is in a different place with different financial woes, you know? So then they go to Western artists and go, why do you charge so much? Why are your models so expensive? These ones look exactly the same or better for way cheaper. And it's like, it's because it feels like Americanism. It's like, it's because I don't think you understand that you are used to your dollar value being so strong. You are used to it being strong everywhere else in the world. So you think that getting it cheaper is something that you should have when you come back to the Western world, you know? It's hard to explain, but it's like you just need to understand that when an artist charges a price, you go there and you accept it, you know? You don't haggle with them, you don't barter. You go, okay, this is what they're charging because this is how much they feel they are worth, you know? Randomly stream hopping right now. Your model's so cute. Thank you, Fiona. I'm glad you like it. I worked really hard on it. Why is their art cheaper / better? If you feel so, commission them. That's kind of it. It's just like, why are they cheaper than you? And I'll explain. It's just like they might live in a area where, like, so here's the tricky thing. One of them is they might live in an area where that is seen as a living wage, or you must be careful and double check your sources, check with the people that they have commissioned them before, because it is possible that it is also a scam. That is something to consider. That happens also with Western artists. It is not just artists elsewhere. There are people who impersonate artists and use their portfolios to give a false portfolio and scam people out of their work. It happens in every industry, not just artists. So do keep that in mind. Honey, how doth feeleth? I still got a bit of a headache. I'm slowly eating my oatmeal, so I'm chilling. We're taking it easy. But yeah, um, so that is one of the things to consider is just like look at their prices, double check all of their socials, the people who they have worked with, and see if they still enjoy their work or if their work was of good quality. Reach out to them, talk to them, you know? Thank you for the hydrate dingy. I hope you're doing good. And why is their art cheaper and better? Yeah, exactly. It's after you explain that to them, if they still go, yeah, but you should charge less, it's like, no. If you find an artist that is within your budget and you have checked that they are the actual artist, go with them. Don't go to other artists asking why their prices are so high. You know? It's like, yippee, you found an artist that is within your budget. Hooray! Go for it. You know? I'm not going to be upset. I am basically going to go, okay, good. You have someone that is willing to work with you for the price you're willing to pay. That's great. Dingy, I woke up so late. I'm trying to catch up. Hope you feel better soon, homie. Thank you, Dingy. Yeah, I'm taking it real slow today. I'm chilling. Dragonair, you should instead thank the artist and ask them why their price is so low. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If it's within your budget, it's within your budget. Exactly. So in terms of how, so if you are a aspiring VTuber, I highly recommend either trying to make a model yourself if you are artistically inclined, because you can use the free version of Live 2D Cubism. There is a free version that allows you to rig your own models. Because A, you will understand how to make models, which means you can eventually learn to make whatever you like. And B, it can also give you an understanding of how the process works when you work with another artist, you know? It'll help you to find the limitations and understand what makes something look potentially good versus something that looks potentially a little uncanny. Goblin needs soup. Bring out the soup and OJ. I got the oatmeal. I got the oatmeal. It's pretty good. Mm-hmm. Honey, do you have a card or two of the VTuber collectible card game? No. So I don't. I wasn't really sure what the card game was. I have no idea how people got into it. I just mm, mm. I don't know how that began. I think as far as I know, I was away while that whole thing popped off. And that's fine. There are some times in streaming and content creation where you are just going to have to accept that for your own health, you cannot be a part of everything. There are content creators that can do that, that have the time, energy, and drive to keep up with every single trend and be very on top of things. However, I am unfortunately not one of those people. I work quite slowly is not the word, but I'm very cautious when it comes to jumping on trends. Because jumping on something too fast and too desperately will A, lead to burnout, but two, will lead to you sometimes, if you're not careful, making rush decisions. And I would rather be consistent. Own pace? Yeah, I'm going at my own pace, which in the speed of the internet and how it works can be kind of detrimental, you know? Not being able to keep up with trends is something that I feel a lot of VTubers are scared of, and content creators as well. It's like, because when I look online and browse Twitter whenever I do, it feels like everyone is constantly online and only ever exists online, you know? And it makes me sort of wonder, like, how do you have the time and energy for this? Because I don't. I certainly don't. And that's okay. That's my own limitation. But it does make me worry that in order to air quotes succeed, you will have to be constantly online. And if everyone is constantly online, what are you doing? You know? What stories will you be able to tell if you don't leave and then come back? That is kind of why I like the idea of y'all being adventurers, you know? You go out, you have fun, you make your own stories, and then whenever you're feeling it, you come back and share if you're feeling it. There is no pressure. You can go on a whole saga and go, this one's for me. This one I don't need to share, and that's okay. Not everything is for the public, you know? Calibre voice is therapeutic. Thank you. Thank you very much. My voice is not warmed up today. This is my sick voice. Dingus, I think it might just be GameStop's affiliate. Maybe. Uh, I I don't know if I will do any sort of energy drinks. Mostly because I now I think it is absolutely fine for VTubers to do energy drinks and deals there. I don't really see too much of a problem with it for them. I like seeing some of the merch they come up with too. The cups, really cool. I do like those. For me personally though, I don't drink them. I don't drink caffeinated drinks because they give me headaches. And so GamerSup seems to be very caffeinated and gives you a constant amount of energy. But if it is if it is a product that I cannot try or I cannot drink consistently, you know, I do feel that I might not be the right person to endorse it, you know? Doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It just means that like I might not be the the right person for that, if that makes sense. Honey will only accept sponsorships for calming herbal teas or hot cocoa mixes, something cozy. I I do whenever I do some sort of merch or event sort of thing, I do like to try to make it something that I really believe in or something that I work hard in. And so that's why whenever I do that, I'm very excited because I am so happy to see what I work on come to life, you know? There are caffeine-free variants, but I see the point. Yeah. They have non-stimulant ones, even ones that help you go to sleep. It's vitamins. Ah, I see. I just entered to give it a look and got a life lesson out of nowhere. Damn, honey, you good? Oh, thank you, Carrie. Thank you very much. Little life lessons everywhere. Honey Gabo, Coco when ooh. I think so one of the things I thought about doing was, and unfortunately it doesn't work, so this is the hypothetical realm again, where I would like to get a kitchen setup going because I want to learn how to make more foods. I have a limited recipe catalog in my head. I know the basics of frying, putting things together, and making meals, but I want to learn how to make more complex foods, you know? I feel like my skill in terms of cooking has regressed, and now that I have rested for a while, it's coming back up. Where I'm like, okay, I want to try more complex things. I don't just want to do uh pasta and sauce dishes. I don't just want to do rice bowls or I don't just want to do sandwiches. Although I do really like those. I want to try to make things that are a bit not necessarily more complex, but will make me feel good in the soul, you know? Will also be healthy. Please have a notebook of sort. All those ideas yours. Yes. I want to. How about safer alternatives that you perhaps could consider? True. If there's a product that I do believe in, I will, you know, endorse it, you know. I feel called out because I'm the same way. There is nothing wrong with cooking like that. I will say, if it is keeping you well fed and with a good variety for your health, there's nothing really wrong with that. It's more for me. I noticed that after cooking like that for several, oh my gosh, years now, I guess, my desire to eat has gone down. Like my appetite has gone down. And that's not necessarily good. Because my, I guess it would be my metabolism keeps me fairly thin. And I've been wanting to bulk up in terms of muscle for the past year, and it's been tricky. Partially because the aspect that I control the most, which is food, has been hard to keep up with. I have not been as excited to eat and cook. So instead of just working out and then eating what I can, I think I'm going to switch strategies to instead make a bunch of foods that I'm really excited to eat and then keep exercising fairly consistent, but put more focus on the food rather than the exercise itself, you know? As a single person, I just cook from does it contain the necessary nutrients to just throw the stuff in there? I make the food, others try to make it look good. Mm-hmm. So, Jory, hello. Let's see. I have a question. Is there a certain age I have to be? I was checking out the rules and I didn't see anything about age, so just wanted to make sure. So I will say for your age, do your best not to state your age, because in general, putting your name, age, location, school, or even like state or country you live in can be dangerous information to share. However, I do tend to keep my streams TOS friendly, so 13 plus. So there is the occasional swear here, there's the occasional mature topics, but nothing really that I don't think a 13-year-old couldn't handle, you know? So, yeah. Thank you for asking. It's reminding me of an Amazon Prime ad where the girl wants more out of her lunch breaks and buys a stock pot and uses utensils and learns to make her own soup and pho. Ooh, pho is a good one. Pho is delicious. Also, Walter, thank you for the sub with Prime. Welcome in. It's very kind of you. Thanks. On the topic, please do not overshare personal, even if you're in age range to be here. It's for your own safety. Yes. Different topic, I guess, where I worry that internet safety is not a thing that is taught anymore as a kid. Matthew Murphy, can you sing me a song? Not right now, because I am a little bit sick, so my throat is not warmed up for singing. But I do like singing, so perhaps another stream. But yeah, like, general rules, if you do not know these rules, I learned these in high school, I think. Maybe I learned it younger, actually. The years are starting to blur together now that I am not in school. But, like, don't say where you're from, say your age, don't say anything about, like, your personal life and location. Just, if you have to kind of pretend and act like you are in your early 20s at all times, unless it is a safe space to not do so, if that makes sense. Because no matter how safe an environment you think it is on the internet, be aware that even if the environment is safe, if somehow that information gets leaked, not necessarily by the person you send it to, but like by someone else, like there are hacks. There are things that even I don't understand, but must be wary of. Don't put your personal information online. There are some instances where you might. Say you need to let a friend know where you are, you know, and you Snapchat them your information. Or you Instagram DM them. I don't know, any of the socials really. Do your best to delete that information as soon as you can, because you never know. You know, get your friend to record it, and then you never know. Like if you're going to a concert or you're potentially meeting up with someone from online, Tell other people. That includes DMs and platforms like Discord. The DMs are on Discord servers and can be leaked. Yes. For the sake of the internet safety, but now by modern standards, it just needs spread awareness. Is that right? I think it's still internet safety, because here's the thing. The internet has not gotten more safe. It has not necessarily gotten more dangerous, but it has not gotten more safe. Yeah. Also, don't be telling people your birthday. Like that is one where it's like, don't give them your name, your birthday, and where you live, because that's a great way to impersonate someone, you know? Anything you send over social media is stored permanently until you use legal mechanisms to delete your data. Yeah, it's gotten more complicated, which means more failure points. Yeah, exactly. What internet safety when you're asked to provide photo IDs to browse Twitter? Don't do that. Don't provide your ID to social media sites. Like, it's hard to explain because some content creators need to do it. For more adult sites, I understand. However, there's still a tricky aspect of it, such as for those particular sites. I can't name them because this is Twitch and Twitch doesn't allow you to name them. But there's one, for example, where you have to upload your ID in order to post content. This is still a weird gray area, but I understand the thought process behind it. I understand it. I don't fully agree with social medias that are meant to be public needing ID, because that is an amazing way for people to get doxxed or stalked. Like, but yeah, Perfect Curry. The internet has changed and will continue to change faster than laws can possibly keep up with. And that is where the tricky part lies. Is some people think that basically banning and censoring it entirely is the safest thing to do, which I heavily disagree with. Censorship is a nuke, not a scalpel. You know? Who decides what needs to be censored, you know? And if there is someone deciding it, what is the agenda they have? What are the biases they have, you know? Basically delete a Facebook account if you have it. Don't remember how much info you can retain from public. Yeah. So I'm very thankful that as a teenager, I fell out of posting pictures of myself. So pictures of myself don't actually exist online because at a fairly young age, I guess like older teenager area, I saw the dangers of what people could potentially do with pictures I post. Like I saw what happened with Shia LaBeouf getting doxxed in the flag incident, and I went, people can find it from there. And people are still posting pictures of like their houses and their families and their vacations. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. I am not risking myself or my family and loved ones for like internet clout, you know? Anonymous, thank you for the gifted sub. And also, Walter, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. And Evil Crush, thank you for this resub. Happy 35 months. People need to know the internet is full of goblins that will steal your chicken nuggies. Don't let them know where you are. Don't do it. And also, McBo, thank you for the 1,500 shinies. Oh my gosh. But how can I ask Honey to sing me happy birthday without telling me when my birthday is? Anyhow, taking the occasion to thank you again and express how much it fills me with joy every time I listen to the clip. Also, Honey cute. Thank you, McBo. YouTube is 13 plus and ID to prove you're 18 is stupid. It is really stupid. It is. So the frustrating thing, I was talking with a friend about this the other day, is so VR chat. I would consider VR chat, especially public lobbies, not necessarily private ones. I would consider public VR chat 18 plus. However, Roblox is just kind of VR chat but with more games for kind of all ages. Here's the thing. When people get too old for the Roblox space, will they just migrate to VR chat? Probably not. They might, but might not. But here's the thing that might happen is that people who grew up in the space won't leave the space. Instead, they will start pushing out the newcomer youth that try to get into the space. Or you have the Roblox current problem of predators on there, you know? There really are no kid spaces anymore. Like, just look at Halloween. Halloween is my favorite holiday. And it's basically dead because there are no communities anywhere. And it really, really sucks. Like, it sucks so bad. I feel worried for my nephew because I don't know what sort of community he's going to have after school. You know? So, you know, the male loneliness epidemic. It's just like there are different nuances to each group's kind of loneliness. Absolutely. But everyone is becoming more lonely nowadays because there is no sense of community. If people cannot buy a house to live in and are constantly renting and constantly moving where it is cheaper, that is uprooting them away from their families. It is separating them from their roots so that it is harder to establish communities. So people are not getting close to each other because what is the point of getting close if you are potentially going to have to leave anyways? You know? There's a lot of aspects to it, and it all boils down to capitalism. But yeah, it's a rough time. So online spaces are the closest thing we have to that. However, with what is happening online, it is really tricky. Because how do you find the right space? As an adult, it's easier. You can browse different sites, different applications and worlds in VR chat, even Roblox. But for children who don't have the same internet safety, there are no spaces. There are no safe spaces to be a child. Capitalism derogatory, exactly. We talking dystopia? More talking about modern reality, which can seem very similar. Al Pacino, thank you for the 100 shinies. Headache, be gone. Did it work? It's not bad, actually. The headache is not there currently. And I think it's because I'm slowly taking it easy and talking, you know? Oh. Ja, bestimmt viel Geschäft dafür. Andre, thank you for the 100 shinies. Make sure your cousin stays in shape. That opens some doors in relationship with others. Sounds dumb, but increases your self-esteem and how others treat you. Smile back. That's true. Keeping yourself healthy is very important. Depressing to think about it that way, just calling this modern reality. Yeah. What should we do to solve the problem on the internet? So, the truth of the matter is, I don't have a full answer. Things have gotten to the point where it's kind of a spiral. In order to fix what is on the problem with the internet online is we have to bring back the websites that kids had, such as like Webkinz, Neopets, that Disney website, you know, Club Penguin sort of stuff. But again, because we can't age verify anything, because I think age verification is not a good idea. Well, you know, like, it's tough. Because a lot of the times when kids get into 18 plus spaces, it is because their parents are not monitoring them enough. And even if your parents are monitoring you, it leads to a different problem of the kids don't have enough freedom, you know? So it's a matter of teaching kids internet safety, what places are safe to go, and trusting that they will know how to act responsibly and checking in with them every once in a while. Basically, it requires the parent to foster a very healthy, non-judgmental space with their kids so that their kids can tell them what's happening and the parents can identify if the kids are being preyed upon or groomed. It is a whole problem that requires a lot of patience, time, empathy, and killing of your ego as a parent. And a lot of people don't want to do that. A lot of people would rather just say yes, tell their kids yes to this, no to this, and tell people we must change the internet to be safe for our kids. It's basically shifting blame away from the root cause and the root problems. In order to fix the internet, we have to fix things outside of the internet. We have to make sure that housing is affordable, that people can build communities, that public services are completely funded. Basically, it comes to a whole system failing. It is a bigger picture that cannot be solved by just one thing. It has to be solved by many things, and most of it is making sure that people have good, fulfilling lives. Fiona, glad I found the stream. Been looking for new people to watch here and missed the YouTube boycott. Oh, right, there's a YouTube boycott right now. I keep forgetting that. Like, there's so many things going on that I have not been able to keep up with everything. So a lot of the times I'm just learning things as they come, you know? More and more parents don't want to be parents. I have to ask, why did you have the kid in the first place? Villainy, thank you for the earwiggles. So something that is very interesting is I was talking to my aunt and I was like, I don't want to have kids. I do not think I can give a kid the life they deserve and take care of them while also taking care of myself, because I feel like it would be irresponsible of me to do that, to bring a kid into a world I cannot keep them safe from. And it very much is the feeling that people who are older are like, well, yeah, it's just part of life. That's just part of life. You have kid. I had kid. Why don't you have kid? And so it feels like that belief is pushed down on people. And so people are like, yeah, it's just part of the process. I have to do it. It's a step. And a lot of the times when, in particular, people who grew up cis women come into that age, they feel pressured to have the kid to the point where they don't question whether or not it is something they actually want to have. And so it comes to a matter of, you want to have an imagination, to imagine a future of, would you be happy if you did not have children? You know? You have to consider for yourself as one individual person, will your life be worse if you don't have a kid? Will your life be better if you don't have a kid? Because once you have a kid, you cannot take it back. You cannot take it back. Not only the kid, but also the amount of stress it puts your body under. You can't undo it. It is something that you will have to live with and keep going with. It is absolutely doable. People can do it. But you also have the opportunity to go, I'd rather not. I think I'd rather try something else. And that can scare people, you know? Some people get scared that they won't find a partner that doesn't want to have a kid with them. And I think that's a perfectly reasonable fear. But if you are basically making yourself a nanny and a caretaker and provider for pretty much nowadays, instead of it being like 15 years, it's something like 25. Think about if you want to dedicate about a third of your life, probably that's about half of your life as an adult, to that. Consider that. And if you decide that you still want kids after that, great. That's wonderful. Yeah, I like kids. I love being an uncle. I want children, but I've watched friends have kids, and I believe the advice of a friend of mine who's a mom: do not have kids unless you are positive you want kids. It's not fair to the kid, and the return policy sucks. Yep. The other big thing is, outside of yourself, that kid needs you to want them. You must want the kid more than you want happiness for yourself. because the kid will have no one else to rely on. It's a complete lifestyle changer. You have to know your limits, and it's a huge decision. Absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, so apparently what's happened with YouTube is like they are flagging people's accounts where it's like, you must prove you are 18 plus in order to view this content. And so it's basically trying to force people to upload their ID to YouTube, which is a bad idea because as soon as you are forced to upload your ID for the internet, government, ad companies, and companies in general can track your activity, and whenever they decide is criminal, they can charge you with it. For example, if they decide that in your state it's criminal to see or visit sites with LGBT friendly things, they now can charge you for that. Like that's something that is a people go like, "Oh, that's not real. That's dystopian." It's like, we live in it. Congratulations. Let me wake you up to the reality of if they can, they will. So do not trust them with that. They can already track you so much based on whatever you upload to the internet or wherever you visit on the internet. Like you're connected to the internet, they can most likely find something about you. So do keep that in mind. Don't make it easier, you know? We do not submit to the cogs because they're going to do it anyways. We become the grains of sand that slow them down. After having to watch my little cousins quite a bit in my life, I realized I don't know about wanting my own kids, and that's okay. So here's the fun thing about that. You can change your mind up until the point you have kids. And that is the nice thing. Give yourself time to think and consider and gain stability. Kids are not a decision to rush into. You don't want to rush into them. Pretty much ever. You better start believing in dystopian dictatorship, Lassie, because you're living in one. Yep. Yep. I think one of the hard things a lot of parents have nowadays is that, and this is a generalization, so it's not all parents, where they go, oh, kids grew up with this technology. They're so tech savvy. They're so tech savvy. It's like, no. Kids nowadays are not tech savvy. They know how to use technology because they learned how to use it in order to function. However, they don't know how to work folders. They don't know how to Google things properly. They don't know how to adjust something inside of their PC files. They know how to use app. And apps do not teach you how to bypass certain things in order to remain safe online. They know how to use things that have been made easy and accessible to use to keep you engaged. This is definitely not the topic I expected to hear about my eggs and toast. Yeah, my bad. Sick Honey is on some stuff. Mostly I've eaten oatmeal. Peril, they don't know how to vet people. Exactly. Internet safety needs to be taught now more than ever. The amount of people who come into this stream saying their age concerns me. Even if it is people going like, I just turned 18. It's like, no. Please don't state your age. I try not to bring attention to it. I try not to make a big deal of it. But even if you do turn legal age of something, whether it's to drink or just 18, don't state that because now you have put a target on your back. Even though I do consider this a fairly safe space, you never know with the internet. You never know with the internet. Same thing for going out in public, you know? Technology is more user-friendly. Yes, it's more user-friendly nowadays, for sure. The barrier to entry is much lower. However, the barrier to enter and not be consumed by the ads and the government control is difficult. It's much more difficult. Even I am not super tech savvy about it. at most, I now know how to build my own computers, format my files vaguely, and mod games. Like, I am not the pinnacle of internet safety. I just know the very general stuff. Welcome to Honey's Stream, where topics can range from hot fishmen to life lessons and untaught safety precautions. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. I foresee a future where we end up like China, where it seems like everyone within a certain generational cohort knows how to use a VPN and survival mechanism. Yep. Really get comfortable with Russian and Chinese style government evasion tactics. So the difference between Russian and Chinese government evasion tactics and American ones is that American ones are insidious. Actually, they all are, now that I think about it. Yeah, just get used to using the idea of a VPN, you know? So the fun part about being on art Twitter, or not art Twitter, in art sites, is that when you get artists from different places in Russia, you learn how they evade the government censors there. Because some sites are just not available in those countries. That's just not how that works. And so they have to use VPNs and different ways to get around it. It's tricky. Even I don't fully know how to do it, but I have stuff saved for in case I need to. Excuse me. VPNs don't do much for safety other than giving you access to block stuff. The fact they make you more vulnerable because they're like a bonfire on network traffic analysis. I think as far as I understand, it depends on the VPN and like what you're doing on it. But yeah, there's a lot of different ways to do it. Also, have a good shift, local. See you around. Hi, Zindale. Ooh, gang, it's your girl, the Hunt Goblin. I'm sick, which means it's time to learn about taxes. I'm sick, which means it's time to rant about the government censorship. We did that all the time anyways. We just do that. Oh, fun fact for y'all. Apparently, you can download all of Wikipedia, which is great. Why wouldn't you want all of Wikipedia at the tips of your fingers? Basically an abbreviated version of all of human history that we have. For 150 gigs. Before everything gets corrupted by AI and dead internet theory becomes real, why wouldn't you want to just download 150 gigs of all of our information in the world? Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah, I'm an IT guy. I grew up with this technology. I already grown a grown-ass man before social media was a thing. I am so glad Scrap wasn't around when I was actually young. The more I learn about it, the more I am glad some of my cousins and my siblings are basically not giving their kids access to even really television for a while. Honestly, getting them to read books, wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Just 100. Yeah, it's only 150 gigs. Give it a little download. Download Wikipedia. Go ahead, do it. Get a little external hard drive, and then you'll just have it. Already downloaded that on my NAS, so I'm ready for the 2030 AI Cloudflare collapse. Yeah. Yeah, honestly, I don't think it would hurt to have that. Just saying. Get a Wikipedia thumb drive. Do it. Also, Johnny, thank you for the hydrate. Let you wiggle. Also, basically learning about what's happening on the internet. I haven't put it on my throne yet, but basically all the movies and TV series that I want, I'm gonna start getting in DVDs. Because the more I realized I was relying on my iPad to watch things, the more I was like, I miss DVDs. And so I tried, because I have a couple movies on my shelf. It's mainly like Pride and Prejudice and like I think one of them's Birds of Prey. I have Wonder Woman. I have Princess Bride and Mad Max Fury Road. Ooh, good movies. But I watched Princess Bride on my little Panasonic, and I was like, this is great. I miss that. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? There's libraries I can go to. So I've gone to the library. I went with my nephew on Thursday and I got some movies to watch. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so fun. What the heck? I love this. I've missed going to libraries. Oh, I have the full Lord of the Rings. Wonderful. Good stuff. But yeah, it reawakened my love for going to the library and looking at DVDs. It's wonderful. Only 150. Yeah, exactly. Preserve the Modern Library of Alexandria. Like, Wikipedia is not as detailed as I would like. However, it is definitely better than nothing. It is very good. Sachari, I love your character. It's very adorable. Out of curiosity, to make it yourself? Yeah! Drew, cut and rigged it myself. Let's go, baby. Is it possible to download on a mobile device? I have no idea. No idea. Dragonator. As a system admin, I can tell when someone uses a VPN even if I can't tell what it's using it for. I can see they have encrypted traffic to only one or very few destinations. Oh, I dropped some of my oatmeal. So watching movies, shorts, or just browsing. Ooh. If I know the servers, I can know the service and you're using, and a government can easily compromise that service to see your actual traffic too. Gotcha. Good to know. But yeah. Again, I am not an internet expert. I only know vague amounts of information. Hello, level 1 wizard. Welcome in. Need to find my copy of Return of the King. The Lord of the Rings series is very good. The thing that I like about specifically the Lord of the Rings series is it's all about persisting when things are hopeless, but also remembering times of hope. The first movie is so soft and good because it is when you have the most hope. It reminds you of what you're fighting for throughout the movies. It needed to be soft and good in the beginning to show you the soft and good that you want at the end. Hi, sorry you're feeling sick. No worries. I'm just eating my oatmeal and chilling. It's okay. There was something about DVDs and VCR tapes. Streaming services have convenience, but physical media has vibes. Here's the thing. So I think, because I have no idea how long streaming's been around. What has it been around? Like 10 years now? After, I guess, 10 years of it, the moment that let's see. Not this one. Where is Blue Turtle? I hit a point where I sort of turned off my device that I was watching my show on, which was my iPad. And I looked around and realized that, hey, if the internet went down and I had no access to Discord, my friends, all YouTube, all of my usual movies, how would I watch things? How would I fill the space in my apartment with noise and comforting sounds if I needed to? And it sort of made me realize, like, I don't own movies anymore. I rent things that bring me joy with streaming services. Or even just piracy. I think I miss having physical things in my home. And part of me wonders if that's why homes nowadays feel so empty. You know? Where whenever you see like a house tour or pictures, you go like, it's empty, but why does it feel empty even though people live there? And it's because everything's kind of digital. It doesn't exist in the physical world, you know? VHS walls were such a vibe. Honestly, I can see it. I understand them now. McCrew, do you believe art not safe for work artists will survive? Maybe finding the gaps in the law, or we'll see something like alcohol prohibition times. Here's the thing. If not safe for work is banned entirely, that is extremely dangerous because then people are just going to get it from different sources and it will not be where you can see them. It will be things that you cannot see, which is worse, you know? Bear. While it's important to acknowledge and track how bad things are, I want everyone to keep hope in your heart. Few things are more radical than optimism in the face of dystopia. There's a common saying that it's easier to imagine the end of the world than the end of capitalism, and that is by design. Do what you can to expand your knowledge and reach it out to people. Break away from the mental totalitarianism of capitalist realism. Start a garden, encourage others to do so. Replace your keep going. Replace your lawn with wildflowers and pollinators and grow beds. Be punk, be kind, dare to imagine a better world. Yes, I agree. So this is Honey Talking Hours. Jasper, thank you for the 100 shinies. We'll be lurking meow as I return to work. Continue to listen on earbud. Sounds good. And McBo, thank you for the posture check and breathe. Oh. So once I must reiterate, you cannot be racist, sexist, transphobic, or discriminate if you are punk. The only thing you can discriminate against as a punk is people who discriminate. It's the paradox of tolerance. Tolerance accepts all except for intolerance. Zindel, I miss VHS tapes. We actually broke the pause button on our Play as Kids. Watching Power Rangers tapes and repeatedly hitting the pause button to find bizarre in-between frames during the Zord summoning sequences. Oh, that's so adorable. That's so cute. Myth, the only thing we don't tolerate is intolerance. Exactly. Yep. Didn't realize how bland my room decor was until a few years ago when I moved in with a friend. She pointed out my room was so minimalistic. Minimalism, now that I'm thinking about it, minimalism feels like propaganda. Like, hear me out. Minimalism feels like capitalism is trying to sell you the idea that you having a low standard of living with not a lot of stuff because you can't afford it is normal and good. However, it is also capitalist propaganda to just fill it with nonsense. You know, just filling it for the sake of filling it is also bad. There is a balance. Find things that you enjoy that bring you joy and spark happiness in your life, and keep just those things, you know? The paradox of tolerance falls apart if it's treated as a social construct instead of a moral imperative. Yes, exactly. Minimalism sounds like socialism. I'm not so familiar with my isms, except the autism, the artism. But I don't think they're quite the same thing. I think, and this may be my ignorant Westerner side, but like, I don't think we are taught what socialism actually is, or even communism actually is. We are just taught it's bad. And it's not that people say, oh, it's bad. They will say things like, what are you, a commie? And it's just like, it will have the intonation of an insult. And that is deeply programmed into us. So we don't know what it means, but we are taught from a very young age that it is an insult and it's therefore something bad. And I think that is by design, you know? Being aware of other systems doesn't mean that you will immediately go to them, but it makes you question your own system, which is against capitalism's design. Question everything with curiosity, you know? Be genuinely curious about it and not judgmental. If people were actually taught about socialism and capitalism, we would have a lot more people against capitalism. Yep. Why do you think schools are one of the first things that always get defunded and are always treated as things that need to be cut with budgets? Socialism elementally is about public ownership of the means of production. How you go about doing that is where you get various system and theories: anarchism, communism, democratic socialism, to name a few. Oh, okay. Gotcha. See, that sounds fine to me. Like, I don't quite understand the full ramifications and how that would change. But just as a concept, just like that, sounds fine. Just like how, in theory, capitalism sounds fine. However, we are in a end of road capitalism society now where it's like, this is collapsing. Uh-oh. Obligatory reminder to try and start or join a union. Yes. Absolutely. Know your rights. By the way, I do not own anything anymore. I will try to share my view not only in matters of I don't care, but is actually important to me. I at least try to take physical versions like Bloodborne art book. I'm so happy to have it. Some PS1 childhood era games and the songs I really like, I'll remember them. I'll try to sing them first and fail, but I'll keep going whenever I learn them because I want them to stick in my brain. That makes sense. Dreef is, I'm glad I worked at a movie theater for a bit. I have movie posters, including posters for anniversaries for movies. Ooh, like Lion King. Coraline, Nightmare Before Christmas. I want to get framed and hang up in my room when I finish moving soon. Oh, that sounds great. I love Coraline. It's one of my favorite movies. So, so good. I think Leica's making another film. It's in the works, I think. Let's not forget about Gen Alpha introducing itself with the internet. Just interesting to say the least. So, the internet has become so vast with so many people on it that it is easy to get lost. And everything has become a niche. There are no more things that really appeal to the wide public in the same way that they used to. Which is why I wonder that if movies and theaters are dying is because everyone is so scattered and in such niches that not everything appeals to them. You know? Like, VTubing is very niche. It's a very niche thing, despite the success it's seen. Success does not necessarily mean it's not niche, you know? As a concept, communism is amazing, but as a reality, the only way to properly manage it is with an authoritarian government. We as a society have no order and way too much ambition for communism society. That being said, the alternative being capitalism is so toxic we're just noticing right now. There's no proper answer. The world is too complex to be governed by one simple rule, you know? That's often why when you look at what states need what, some laws that work on the coastal cities don't really work for the Midwest because doesn't make sense, you know? It doesn't help that all the movies are going streaming soon after going after theaters. Yeah, nothing is allowed to exist in a theater and gain momentum anymore. And so people have kind of given up, you know? Because things are in theaters for maybe like a month, maybe less now, they're just like, it's going to be out of theaters by the time I see it. Well, I'll just wait till it's streaming and then I can watch it whenever. And then they never watch it, you know? The concept of making socialism evil is public standard in the West because Europe and US waged some 60 years of international warfare against most of the Eastern world. Yep. Largely on grounds of socialism, the concept being an existential threat to capitalist institutions. Yep, pretty much. If you mean like minimum wage, yeah, that has to be tweaked relative to cost of living. Yep, absolutely. Minimum wage needs to triple in order for things to kind of be okay for people now. But a rapid increase all of a sudden does not work as well. It needs to be fast, but not immediate, you know? I think there needs to be a maximum wage. I think we should bring back the teachings of older philosophies. Taoism, or is it Taoism? Platonism, cynicism, stoicism, give people perspective. I think teaching people to question things is good. Because here's the thing, is the less you ask questions, the less you will learn, which is what people want. If you are ignorant, you are easier to manipulate and take advantage of. Oh. Eliminating corporate greed would help too. It's not necessarily, you can't eliminate corporate greed, but restrict them. You know? Make it so that it is not worth being greedy as a corporation. Why are we increasing the cost of living? We don't want to increase the cost of living. We want to increase the minimum wage. Because the cost of living has already increased so much. Maximum wage would be great. So if you hit you hit 999 million, you get a trophy and the rest gets taken. It's given to the workers. Yep. Question everything is also how we got anti-vax, COVID deniers, and conspiracy theorists. That's the thing. It is important to question everything, but understand the answers you're getting back, you know? Also, hello, Pezzle. Communism tends to fail as a result of two ends of people. The people who don't want to work but still get paid, but also the people in charge who dictate what's the best course of action. Seems like there's a whole bunch of complex things going on, and again, I don't know everything. I do not know everything. But what I do know, what happens right now does not work. Question equal understand. Yeah. I ask silly, stupid questions that a child would to the corporations that they sure don't like. Like, I went into the bank the other day to, like, talk about finances and all that. I do think it's important that y'all go to a bank and try to talk to a specialist if you can, to talk about what is the best course of action for you. And here's the thing, a lot of the times when you do that, they will throw a lot of acronyms and terms at you. And sometimes they do this to kind of, as far as I understand, overwhelm you with information and make you trust that they know best. But I got that question everything autism. Where I will be like, what does it stand for? Explain it to me like I'm 5. Like, what does this mean? And I kid you not, the person I was working with looked so tired and exasperated, but I did end up understanding it by the end of it. And I was like, okay, good. See you next time I do this, because I will be asking these questions again. But yeah, that's pretty much what I did. You are... This is perhaps paranoid me speaking, but don't trust people with your money if they cannot explain what they are doing with it in a way that makes sense to you, you know? Berserk, what a cool model you got. Loving the conversation I've come in on. Lots of thoughts going on chat here. Lobbying should be illegal, but unfortunately the people that can make it illegal are the ones that's benefiting. Yup. It's rough, buddy, but also thank you. I made it myself. I made the model myself. Poor country plus superpower assassinating leaders equals no more communism. Yeah, listen to what was it? The CIA messed up the other countries a lot. But yeah, hope you feel better. I feel okay. My headache is rolling back a little bit. I'm still eating my oatmeal. I'm working on it. It's going okay. Well, very important to remind people that despite whatever you might think, you, yes, you Cheddar, are not immune to propaganda. Nope. You're inundated with pro-capitalist propaganda. That is a fact. Work to figure out what ways that is. Yep. And also, Berserk, no uppercase. Thank you for the sub with Prime. That's very kind of you. Thank you very much. Here's the thing. Every single system has its failure points. Every single system. It is not that each system is bad. It is that there are places where bad people can abuse the system. And it is important to do our best to make sure that they don't come in power. The main thing to make sure is you, the individual, have the ability to affect what is in your immediate surroundings. And that is important. When someone says start a garden, they don't necessarily mean clear land and start a garden. You can do that. But what it does mean is start small. Do a garden for yourself. Put a little garden out on your balcony. Make one inside. Put it outside if you can. Start talking to people. The more you talk to people, the less likely you will be isolated, and the less likely they will be isolated. People in power benefit from you being isolated and not trusting your neighbors. The stranger danger effect is good for kids not talking to strange adults, but it does raise generations later to be suspicious of everyone. And there is a level of suspicion that is unhealthy. There is a level of faith we have to put in people that they are good without putting yourself in danger. You know? Isolation and ignorance is what they want. Exactly. If you are isolated and ignorant and the only voice you trust is one big voice that is selling you something, that's exactly what they want. And when I say they, I mean capitalism. Not the government. Capitalism. Is capitalism making all these problems because capitalism is bad innately or because it's been harnessed by bad actors? So any system, it seems that any system pushed to its limits is bad, you know? Extreme interference because no country exists in a vacuum. Yes. Every country is affected by each other. Not in ways that are immediately noticeable, but over time you will start to notice. Capitalism or capitalists? In my case, I consider them kind of the same. But yeah. But yeah. So the best thing to do as an individual is to form connections not just online, but in person. And one of the things that helps with that is connecting with people outside of your age range if you are an adult. What that means is your neighbors are probably not going to be your age. That's okay. Connect with them anyways. Your neighbor who is like in her 80s is probably quite lonely because, you know, she's old. Her family and friends may not visit as much. Some of them might not be around. It's a perfect opportunity to meet a new person, you know? Because odds are you are also kind of lonely. We are all kind of lonely. The thing that this is another one of those honey rabbit holes where it's like part of the obsession with youth and dating and relationships is that if you just focus on people your age and forming connections and not forming connections with people who are older than you in terms of like, you're already an adult. I need to stress this. If you are a teenager, stick with your friends, go to college if you can afford it, or just socialize with people your age. But if you are like in your mid-20s and older, socialize with people from different age groups. It is very important because so often we are taught that having people our age is how you form meaningful connections, when in reality, it is people of all ages. It is important because that is how you stop yourself from being so isolated. Sweet Anya. The short, simple answer is that there is no completely perfect system in existence that will make everyone happy. There is no system immune to abuse by those in power, and we have are systems that are mostly worked for now, but it's all a thumb in a leaking dam. Exactly. There is no one silver bullet, and that is the frustrating thing. There is no one thing that will fix it. It is a huge amount of small things and big things that will eventually fix it. And that can be daunting. It's a lot of change. It's a lot of work. But the other option is to just give up. And that's what they want. That is what the system benefits. The system benefits from you giving up and giving in. Because if you don't, then they have a much harder time. And there's a chance for pushback. You know? Now that you mention it, living in isolation was starting to get boring and not fun anyhow. That's the thing, is like a lot of the times my brain goes like, what if I just left and lived in the woods and just started farming by myself? And it's like, first off, bad idea, honey. That's extremely hard. You need a community for that. Second, that's just not how things work. That's just not how it works. We need people. We constantly need people, you know? The only farming I know how to do is aura farming. Good for you. Good for you, honestly. You farmed that aura. Enjoy impressing people on the street with it. I mean, you do have a community for that. Punk is about rebellion, and there is nothing more rebellious than giving a damn this day and age. Yep. There is nothing more revolutionary than loving yourself and being kind to others and yourself. Being kind is not just polite, by the way. That's being nice. Putting on social niceties is being nice. Being kind is sometimes stretching yourself a little bit out of your way to help someone else who needs it more. That is kind. But you gotta also remember to take care of yourself, you know? Mm-hmm. Sparky, I like to farm cucumbers, but I always eat them all. And also buy more limes than I probably should. I always buy more lemons than I should. Honestly. It's just because lemons are nice. If you grind or you shave the rinds, they add such a good smell to baked goods. It's delicious. Sindel, I will retreat to the forest to become the witch of the woods and steal children's toes who trespass and live on homemade oatmeal and soup. I remember when I was like 5 years younger. I think even 2 years ago, I was talking to my therapist. And she was like, where do you want yourself to be, you know, in the future? She gave me a very general and broad question. And I told her, I was like, I want to be a witch in a bog when I get older. That's what I always thought. But as I got a little older, I sort of learned that I don't really want to be a witch in a bog. I want to be in a peaceful place with my own space where I can grow what I want and live comfortably with my friends nearby. It boils down to I want community and space to be myself. Private space and community. And having both is when I need to be happy. Honey, what's your thoughts on the cucumber lime Gatorade? I don't really drink Gatorade. I did when I was playing a lot of sports, but I don't really drink Gatorade. It's too sweet for me. One day I'll overcome being male and go to therapy. You got this. Citation, genuinely, I think going into therapy is a great idea. Becoming a nicer version of myself is really good, and I do think therapy helps. The very nice thing is therapy isn't a therapist going, these are the things you need to fix. A lot of the times, depending on the therapist, of course, they ask questions, and it kind of trains you to ask these questions outside of your life. Where it was like, I'm angry right now. And your therapist would go like, okay, what's making you angry? Why are you angry? Like getting you to talk it out a bit more and down a line of questioning that is much more... The best way I can describe it is it feels like a 2-year-old is asking you why in a very gentle and playful way. And I really like that. I was like, Edozuch, how's it going? Good morning. Raccoon Riot, we want the village. We want the village. If I could live in a historical village that was well maintained and safe to live in and would keep me healthy, I don't think I would be opposed to that for a good chunk of time. I think it could be extremely neat. I would love to learn how to weave flax into fibers and learn how to make flax clothing. I love textiles. Textiles are so much fun. They're so cool. You get to wear the art. It's amazing. Ryan, thank you for the posture check. And Nokia, thank you for the hydrate. Let me take a little sip. I'm angry at elevators. They're always up to something, but I'm taking steps to avoid them. That's a good one. Textiles are amazing, but dyeing them is a pain. Absolutely. I want to learn about historic dyes, and I want to try making historic dyes. As far as I have learned, the amount of dye you need for a piece is a huge amount. You need so much dye to make something a different color, but I love it. I'm fascinated by it. That escalated quickly. Don't do purple, honey. Don't I need shells for that? Don't you need shells for purple? Maybe I'm mistaken. McBo, thank you for the earwiggles. And Ryan, thank you for the posture check. Snail shells? Okay, we're never gonna find that many. Never gonna find that many. The ideal human community is semi-self-reliant, semi-isolated village of no more than 200 people. Yep. Semi-self-reliant. I think semi-self-reliant and not necessarily isolated is the right word. I think private is also not the right word. Both those words feel too strongly, you know? Not fully related, but folk who say they want the trad style with homestead sounds awful the moment you ask who's getting up at 4 a.m. to milk the cow. Yep. Yep. Do not do the trad lifestyle. I'm so serious. Do not do it. Do not do it. Don't romanticize it. Y'all do not realize how hard farm work is. And here's the thing, a lot of farmers nowadays only do one. They only do either like livestock or grain or like growing stuff. With the trad lifestyle, you gotta do all of it. And I don't think you're gonna like how much work it is. I don't think you're gonna like it. That's why you need a community. You can't just do things one person. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Not without someone basically going crazy. Shigio, thanks for the breather, team. If it reeks to high heaven and down to hell, you need thousands of them? That's why purple is essentially only for rich people? Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense now. Hello, Twedge. Just want to be a buff blacksmith in a forge making swords and axes. Yeah, exactly. I'd love to learn blacksmithing, but I'm more than blacksmithing. I want to learn pottery, like clay making, cook fire and oven cooking, and weaving, specifically for clothes. Those ones I would love to learn. I think it would be so fun. Flax is such an interesting plant. I want to try growing flax. I don't think I live in the correct climate for it. Then again, I haven't done enough research. I basically did introductory gardening this year where I'm like, let's try growing carrots. The carrots are too short. There was not enough sand in the dirt I was using. Good to know. I'll try again with a different type of dirt. I'll add more sand to it, you know? I'm learning now. Want to be a scribe? Like if ye olden times, I'd be the life I'd want. Ooh, a scribe. That could be fun. There's a lot of old jobs that I would love. Like, I feel like it could be fun to do basket weaving. But here's the thing. When people are like, oh, basket weaving is such a... It's not a good job. It's like, yeah, here's the thing. In this imaginary fantasy world which I have made myself, I am able to live a comfortable life with my homies where we all support each other and we don't have to worry about food and we can just worry about making our lives comfortable, you know? Pottery is fairly simple but can be complex depending on how decorative you want the pottery. I want to learn how to make a good teapot. Like, you know those Chinese style teapots where you put your finger over the hole and it stops the flow of the water? Apparently that's really hard to do, but I want to try. It would be so cool. Fearloop, thank you for the reset. Happy 21 months. Welcome on back. Hope everyone's doing all right today. I'm doing okay. I've got a little bit of a headache. It's definitely better than it was this morning, and I'm slowly eating my oatmeal over the course of the stream, which has been almost 2 hours. There's a whole concept called political economy, which discusses how politics and economy shape each other. I thought that was just called the economy. Because, yeah, economy shapes politics and politics shapes economy. They are intrinsically linked, 100%. I'm sure someone has said this before, but watching your models show your excitement is so adorable. Thank you. Thank you very much. I'm glad you like it. They are, in fact, the same picture. Yep, exactly. I'd recommend starting with fire pit cooking and mending clothes. Those are easily accessible as one requires some bricks and rock, a grill grate, and a hole in the ground. The other you just need needle and thread. Yes. So I am kind of a mid sewer, if that makes sense. Mid seamstress. No, not even a seamstress. I don't know how to tailor clothes. I know how to make clothes. I can make very, very simple clothes. Like I've made hoodies, skirts, shirts, pirate shirts. I haven't tried pants yet. Pants is one where I'm afraid to try it, but like could be really fun. What's behind you, honey? Specifically that spinning object I like, by the way. The halo. It's a halo. A halo. A halo. Such, I was talking to an old good friend of mine years back how I wish we could have a little medieval style village that double acts as a tiny theme park with people preserving and teaching old trades while selling goods there. But the people don't act or try or do anything. They just live there and make money by selling their goods and getting paid by the park. Yes. I would love to live in a not necessarily like theme park, but in a historical village. You know, one that could be self-sufficient and sustainable. I think that would be wonderful. Hi, Fia. How's it going? Sorry, feeling sick. Hope you feel better soon. Thanks. I think if I chill and take it easy. I was going to do art, but I decided to take it nice and chill. Not an Amish community necessarily, Shikio, because that one comes with religious stuff too. But I think if there was a community where it's like, yeah, we have a space for ourselves as well as we have electricity, but we do have shops on the property that can do blacksmithing, pottery, weaving, woodworking, printmaking, stuff like that. I think that would be great. And I think it would be really cool to have like oh, how fun would it be to have like a big cabin there where like students could stay for a day and try different kinds of styles of crafts, you know, where it's like, here's how blacksmithing would work. You're too young to do blacksmithing, but here's how we can I don't know, the jobs are pretty dangerous now that I'm thinking about it. Here's how you farm, you know, stuff like that. Ren Fair's come close, but not quite the vibe. Ren Fair's close, but less fantasy, you know? It's been a chill morning, but I have to drive 6 hours today because of the friend's wedding, so not looking forward to the driving. Hopefully have fun at the friend's wedding, but yeah, 6 hours of driving is a lot of driving. Good luck. Good luck. I got politics and economy are different things for sure. How you force labor, if at all, is a political decision that is sometimes independent of how your economy is structured. Whether or not your in-state laws force or prevent the discrimination and how those laws do are also independent of economy. True, they're independent. The decisions are independent, but they affect each other. I guess that's sort of where I got confused. Plugbear. Ironically, you really need to start blacksmithing is bricks, a hole in the ground, a blow dryer, and something to use as an anvil. Anything from a flat rock to the head of a sledgehammer to a section of railroad track and some kind of hammer. Okay. Huh. Hello, Steez. The wedding should be good at least. Yes, slow. Thank you. Good. I'm glad for you. A goblin. 'Tis I. A goblin. We got a lot of goblins to chat today. Dang. Oh, little stretch. Ugh. Hagog. Doom was like 5 people. Right. Also, any pre-made assets were made by someone else. The computer I'm working on. Developing games has taught me that that teams are necessary to make most things happen. Yes. There is capitalism benefits on you not knowing how things are made. It really does, because then they can charge whatever they want. So the more you understand that everything is a team effort and a lot of people work on things to make things happen, the sooner you learn that, the better off you'll be. Found this on the University of Wisconsin site about growing flaxseed. Ooh! Flax is primarily grown in cooler regions around the world, including Europe, North America, and Asia. France, Belgium, and the Netherlands lead the world in the cultivation of flax fiber. In North America, flax is predominantly grown for seed, with North and South Dakota and Saskatchewan as leading producers. The soil and climate throughout Wisconsin are well suited to grow flax for both seed and oil. Ooh! So I wonder where I could grow it for fibers. So the fun thing about flax, as far as I understand, is you want them to grow close to each other so they compete for sunlight. So they will grow long and tall. But I wonder what climate that would be good for. Don't look up the coldest country in the world. Isn't it just... My brain said the North Pole. That's not what it's called, honey. It is the North Pole. Antarctica. Is that the one? I'm gonna say right now, my geography, bad. My geography, very bad. If Europe that grows for them for fiber, that makes sense. Antarctica is south. Exactly. See? That's how bad at geography I am. I need stress. The Arctic is the north. Thank you. Thank you. My worst subject was always geography. It was always geography. And honestly, that's probably reflective of my gameplay in that I am constantly lost. I am always getting lost. That's fine. It's fine. You think driving tractors is easy? No. No. I've driven one of those things when plowing a field. I was stopping every 15 minutes to remove rocks from in between the blades at 90+ degree heat, beating on rocks with a 20-pound sledgehammer. It's not easy work. It's hot, sweaty, backbreaking, and exhausting work. It is not for the weak-willed, my peoples. No. You are talking to someone who comes from a family of farmers. Don't. As someone who is a city kid, I know what I am. I know what I am. Farm folk built different. Farm folk got to deal with so much. I need to stress this. There's so much there that you have to be so ready to deal with. Anyway, Svalbard is part of Norway, though. A colony, technically. Svalbard. Do not underestimate farm folk. They are not so different from us, but they know how to deal with things different from us, you know? Like, city folk, we are used to the hustle and bustle and the high-intensity social pace. Farm folk are used to the very grueling environmental conditions and know how to deal with it properly. The stark difference between city kids and farm folk is insane. My GF comes from a family of farm folk, and it was culture shock meeting her family. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Got farm folk mentality with city folk. I'm a little bit in between. I think now that I've gotten older, I definitely err on the side of city folk because I'm a little less physically active now. But man, the stuff they had us doing for fun. You ever spend just like a day in a hay bale field? It's nice. You do go, when you're a kid, you go hunting for snakes, though. We shouldn't have been hunting for snakes now that I think about it. We were lucky that they were only garter snakes. Jeez. Suburb kids are what? The fair weather version? Not having to hustle and bustle, but not hard labor like farm folk. Here's the thing, is like, city folk can also do hard labor. It really depends on what kind of jobs. But the farm folk start early with the physical labor. It's very interesting. These are, of course, generalizations because, like, everyone's situations are different, you know? Everyone's situations are different. My basic thing is, like, that was my alarm. My main thing is, like, don't treat each other as such different things. Everyone is just built for different things. And you can train up to do both, you know? Everyone is flexible. Snake hunting sounds crazy, but fun. More dangerous version of lizard hunting. Yeah. My family used to do this thing where we would drive around and right in front of the parking lot. It wasn't even a parking lot, honey. Parking in front of a cabin. We would walk up the road and count how many rattlesnakes we had rolled over. Like, we had driven over. It was a lot. It was a lot. And they just had to let their kids run around. Like, what else were you gonna do? Just keep the kids inside? No, you couldn't. Anyway, the good news about rattlesnakes is for the most part, they will leave you alone. Yeah. It was fun when you get to see garter snakes, though. Garter snakes they're quite nice. Not what I expected to hear this stream. Farm folk have a different level of acceptance of nature that is just different. Rattler, they are really chill. They are really chill. I would get scared seeing rattlesnakes, but when I first saw garter snakes, I was like, this is fine. They're so cute. My cousin grabbed one and caught one and showed us. Same thing with frogs. We do the frogs. We do the crayfish. Like, you just did that with animals as a kid. Don't do it anymore because there are less of them. Like, visibly less of them. So, that's indicative of something, for sure. But yeah. I bought a mouse in the house at one point. I should not have done that. I should not have touched that mouse. But anyways, I was a kid. I didn't know better. Brought a lot of stray cats home, too. Specifically one stray kitten. I named him Nemo. He was cute. Oh, Lord. I don't own a frog. Frogs are adorable. My grandma has a little frog pond. It's adorable. The raccoons eat great. We stand Nemo in this house. We love the little kitty Nemo. So adorable. What happened with the mouse? So me and my siblings, when we were kids, I couldn't have been older than like 7, 8. Found a little mouse. It was walking real slow. Slow enough for us to just like put a box under him and some hay and just leave him. And we fed him some milk. Brought him inside the house. Fed him. And then the next morning we were like, okay, we should let him go now. Let him rest. And we let him back out in the barn. Should not have done that. Really should not have done that. Should not have brought a rodent into the house. Specifically one that we did not know what was wrong with it. The fact that it was slow enough for us to pick up was probably bad. We did not tell the adults. We should have. Because, so don't ever, if an animal is slow and easy to sneak up on or even walk up to, do not touch it. Do not touch it. It may be injured, which is fine, but it may be sick. So it may be sick. And if it's sick, you don't want to touch it. Yeah, if a wild animal is not skittish or it is very chill, leave it. Odds are it is... I can't remember if it's rabies or if it's a different illness. But basically, it is in the stage before it starts to be contagious, or it is at the stage it will be contagious. Don't do it. Nature is no joke. Don't mess with it. But yeah, I did not know that as a kid. So, we got lucky. We got real lucky. The bunny with the worms in the face. Blech. I don't know what that is. Especially if it's a bird. If it's any animal, really. Just be safe with it. If it's not a family dog that you already know, it's best not touch it. Best not deal with it. Disease that sicken animals generally kill humans. Exactly. Yep. Rabies can be a cause. It kills skittish nature in animals in order to spread. Yep, it does. Once met a lizard in the house of the theater that was missing a leg. It was chill. Lizards are... Reptiles are weird. I don't know about reptiles, but yeah. Leon, thanks for the hydrate. Andre, thanks for the 100 shinies, by the way. Wish I could stay hypnotized with your voice throughout the entire stream, but I need to do some stuff today. Bye. See you later. You take it easy. Snakes don't get rabies. Another snake W. Aren't possums immune to rabies? There, let me see. Animal immune to rabies. Oh yeah, it is possums. Nice. Okay. Resistant. Yeah, they're resistant. Okay. So they can get rabies, but the recovery rate is different for different animals. Interesting. See you later, Comfy Leon. Rabies are not common in small animals at all, except bats sometimes, because if they had it transferred to them, they'd be dead because the bite would transfer. It usually always kills them first. Oh, okay. Ran into an angry buck before I climbed up a tree to escape him. As a city boy encountering that for the first time, generally uneasy around them since. Yeah. Animals are no joke. Animals are no joke. Possum's body temperature is low enough the organism doesn't do well there, I think. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not a biologist, so I wouldn't really know. Possums are cute. Possums are really cute. I like they have little gloves. I think it's adorable. Yeah. Life's funny like that. Looking lovely in the light. Thank you. I like it quite a bit. It's a good light. Animals survive in the wild somehow, so they're often not to be trifled with. Don't mess with animals. They live in harder conditions and are stronger than us. We don't mess with that. I think one of the things that is really interesting about nature is that we don't actually know what nature looks like. We have reached a point where we don't know what wild nature looks like. And here's the thing, we shouldn't touch it. We should not touch it. We have already got more than enough land for what's going on. No more expansion. No more, please. Hi, Toku. I don't trust bunnies myself because they couldn't help but bite my previously existent love handles. Oh, that sounds painful. Remember one of my sisters got bit by a hamster at one point. She cried so much. Oh, felt bad for her. That stuff. That was rough. We're at the stage animals are moving back into towns. Yep. Yep. They need the habitat. Expansion should go up, down or up, not outwards. Yep, no more going out. Animals need it. We need it for animals. Because here's the thing. If we keep expanding out, animals will be forced to come in here and bring their diseases. Now, here's the thing. Killing them does not help because it will just keep happening. And then if you mess up the ecosystem any more than it already is, humans will just die. That's just the thing. It's just like, that's what just happened. We should let nature reclaim more places. Yep. Absolutely should let nature reclaim more places. There's a YouTuber who goes, my alarm. No. Stop that. There's a YouTuber who goes into the Florida Everglades to catch snakes like giant pythons and rattlesnakes. He's a professional, but he didn't dare touch a raccoon because it might have had rabies. Rabies is so scary, not even Florida man will mess with it. Understandable. Fair. It might help if we could fix the dust bowl we made to get it reforested. So here's an interesting thing. We don't want to get rid of deserts, specifically ones that were not already there. If there are man-made created ones, then yeah, we probably want to fix that somehow. But we do want sand deserts. There's a lot of things we want. Desert carries over a lot of nutrients that the soil needs to exist. Made Dust Bowl from overfarming and removing windbreakers. Ah, yes, that's bad. But yeah, some things in nature which we would think are bad are not actually bad. It is the balance of it all, you know? If it's like a desert in the middle of the Midwest, bad. That would be bad. But a desert where there's supposed to be desert makes sense. That's fine. That's part of the ecosystem. There's a couple factors I've seen that could do with a few more trees. We could do with a lot more trees in general. Specifically old growth trees, not just new growth. Old growth. Honey, but wanted to ask what kind of D&D adventures have you done? I've done a couple. I've played 5th edition, 3.5, 4th, Pathfinder. I think that's the same as 3.5. I played D&D, not D&D 1, the first edition of D&D. Not the most recent one. I haven't touched the most recent one. And I've played Monster of the Week and playing Savage Worlds right now. Those are the systems I've played. Playing Savage Worlds right now with some friends. It's quite fun. It's quite a good time. Perhaps I'll tell you all about it sometime, but I kind of want to enjoy the campaign as it happens, you know, without outside influence. Advanced D&D first edition or second edition? I think it's just first edition. I don't quite know because that campaign was really bad. The DM at that time was pretty awful. He was not fun to play with. It was also one of the few groups where I was the only girl there. So it's just like, okay, sure. Needless to say, those campaigns did not last pretty long, or very long at all. But yeah, it was basically I created a fighter who played with a tower shield, which blocked 100% of damage in one direction, which is like great. It's really heavy, makes me slow, but I can work with that. You know, I can do that. And nearly every single combat, he would take it away and say I couldn't get it back. He would find a way to take it away, and I'd be like, come on. Come on, what the heck? He would also dish out like curses like, "Oh, you didn't ask to check if this door was cursed. You just asked to perceive what was around it." And I'm like, "Bro." This basically introduced me to the play style of that person, which is just like, it's me against the players. And I'm like, this is not meant to be a game of us versus each other. We are supposed to be building a story together. And it got to 3 sessions. And by, I think, the 3rd session, everyone was complaining about it to themselves and each other, except for the DM. I had to be the one to go, hey, this game sucks. I don't really want to play it anymore. I had to be the one to tell them. And he got upset for a little while, but then eventually got over it, and someone else became the DM. And I was like, guys, why was I the one who had to say it? Like, I'm not even this person's friend. I am the new person of this group. Why did I have to come in and say this? It was pretty bad. And if y'all know me, I am not usually the one to do that. I am not usually the one to initiate a conversation like that. Usually I am the one who just goes like, okay, let's go and see how this goes, you know? Let's give it a try. But yeah, it's never fun when it's you versus the DM. Exactly. It's never fun when it's you, the player, against the DM who has a lot more control of the narrative, because then it's just like, it just feels like bullying your OC, you know? Then I've been listening to a podcast at work and visiting their YouTube channel, Tales from the Stinky Dragon. Pretty fun and exciting. If you ever need background noise while arting or what have you, I highly recommend it. Ooh, Tales of the Stinky Dragon. That's a pretty fun name. Sure, yeah, wow. It must have been really irksome for you to feel like you gotta call it out. Yeah. The thing is, like, none of his friends wanted to do it. So that was one of the few times where I experienced like a group of guys just not saying anything and looking at each other and going and really feeling the there's kind of a weird thing, but it's just like the social mob experience where it's like they will look to each other to see if they're going to get in social trouble before they do something. And I'm like, guys, none of you are having fun. You all hate this. It sucks. I'm just going to tell him it sucks. But yeah, that's how it was. Some of the early editions had a sort of DM versus PC stuff baked in, which if the DM is actually trying, they will win. It doesn't work. You're meant to be like a Pokemon gym leader, a challenge that is there to overcome. Exactly. The player's winning is not the DM's loss. That's not how the game works. I think as part of the session 0, you should play some board games as such, just to see how everyone tries. That was not the first campaign we tried. We did try another one with a different DM who was trying to randomly generate dungeon rooms. It was kind of boring, but that's fine. You know, we played a couple sessions and it fell off, and then we tried again with this one. DM wins when the players have emotional response to their stories. Yes, exactly. Hey, Logical Prime, it's been a bit. Hope you're doing well. My throat's getting a little bit tired, so I'll probably stream for another 15-ish and then call it a stream because the headache is still kind of there. I have started to feel my body heat up a lot, so I may have caught a little bit of a cold. Hopefully not, but who knows? I'm sweating a lot, but perhaps that's just me. Perhaps that's just my body. Whew. The game's supposed to be a tale that the players can enjoy is centered around them. Exactly, yeah. It's meant to be a fun experience that you have together, not something where you're fighting against each other and trying to see who's the better person at the table, I guess. Johnny, thanks for the posture check. Hark, I queried a gobbo. Fish and chip, tikka masala, or a burger. Oh, I'm a sucker for fish and chip, but if you're not feeling anything greasy, tikka masala. Or tikka masala. Depends on how greasy you want, but I love a good fish and chip with some good dipping sauce. Oh. Yum, yum, yum. GM wins when group meets for 4 months without anyone calling out. Yep. Absolutely. I see TTRPGs as cooperative storytelling. Everyone needs to work together to tell a good story. Yes. D&D, specifically TTRPGs, require people to be good at yes and no butting. Having a character go off and do a side quest by themselves for their own personal little adventure does not work because then the DM's focus is split and each person and group is going to have a different level of attention. And that's really important to not do unless previously discussed or finding a way to do it. Also, have fun at the pub, to plug there. Take it easy. Some people are just not meant to be DMs. Yeah, so here's the other thing. I try to be as gentle as possible with DMs because I do not DM. I am not a DM. I have never tried. I am curious about it and wonder if I would be good at it. But I also am very nervous and get performance anxiety. So DMing is not easy. I try to be as understanding and gentle with them as possible. Sometimes, though, you do got to go into it with the right mentality. I've only recently escaped the forever DM. Congratulations, Danielis. Congratulations. And Wolfson, thank you for the 100 shinies. Honestly, it reminded me of an old friend of mine that would always choose his class based on who was in their party. Okay. I swear he had this uncanny knack for reading people, like whenever there was only one girl in the group, he'd always play a paladin to give him a narrative excuse to put the smack down on players that got weird with them, and anytime he got accused of trying to play the white knight, he'd remind everyone just how gay he was. Good for him. Good for him. Yeah, the other thing is, like, if someone else is being weird to a player, in most cases, this is when there is only like a couple of femme players and people are being weird to them. It is your job to check in with the femme players to go like, hey, I wanted to ask if you're feeling uncomfortable or if you are feeling comfortable, because if you're not, I can say something, but I don't want to step on anyone's toes. Like, I don't want to step on your toes because this is what you're going through. But if they're like making other people around the table uncomfortable, that is a perfect opportunity for someone to go like, "Hey, dude, not here, not here, not now." Um, but yeah, like it can happen to anyone, really. It is not just with femme experiences, although that seems to be the majority a lot of the time. What kind of weapons have you used in your D&D campaigns other than axes? I've used scimitars, spears, and bows. They're pretty fun. We have 2 girls in this group. I'm the other girl. Yeah. I will say the longest running campaign we ever had was majority women or femme and NBs. Like it was one DM, the DM was a guy, and then it was three girls and one MB, and that was the longest running campaign we had. I think that was 4-ish years. And then I had a previous one which was a mixture of uh 3 guys and 4 girls, and that one lasted 3 years. Like, so far, the more femme people in the group, the longer and more consistent the games have been because we have actively been there and known how to schedule, and it's been really good. But yeah. Wait, you didn't do the fastball special with your Goblin Barbarian? No. The Goblin Barbarian had the strongest. So as a Goblin Barbarian, I had the highest strength stats, so I would end up throwing other people. Sharkups. Been forever DM for about 7 years now. I run 3 separate tables with 3 separate adventure concepts. My most unhinged group is without a doubt the 4 female group. I don't think people are used to playing with mostly femme groups, and I will say that's okay. Sometimes that just doesn't happen. But it is the most chaotic experience in my experience because the play style is extremely different, and the amount of times that they will make their characters obstinate or argue with the villains in a very funny way is quite frequent. It's very good. To keep the same height? If so, major Wolverine vibes. Oh, absolutely. That character was like 3 foot some. Sounds like a hoot and holler. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. But I think that's because the combat was not the focus. We were not really into combat. I was actually the most into combat, and during that campaign where it was 3 girls and an MB and the guy DM, I was the only one aside from the DM who had experience with D&D. So I kind of took a bit more of a backseat in some cases, unless I needed the plot to move forward, in which case I would pursue the plot. It was so fun. I know we joke about you being the heart of the group, but you ever played a bard? I have played a bard. I played a bard twice. The very first time I played D&D, I was a halfling bard. That was with 3.5 Pathfinder. I guess, I don't know if that counts as D&D. It was quite fun. And I got to do a lot of fun stuff with support and outside of the plot acting. It was good. And then I think I played a bard again, but that campaign was so short-lived that it never really got past session 4. So that's okay. See, I'm not allowed to play bards anymore. Were your lyrics just so sour and rancid? Were they bad? No bars, no rhythm. I like when, as a bard, I roll poorly. Because here's the thing. If I am trying to charm someone as a bard and I roll poorly, it's like, yes, I get to break out the most cringe insults, the worst romantic lines. I get to pull out the most awful flirting I could ever pull out. Because if I'm going to fail, I'm going to make it spectacular or funny. It has to be one or the other. No, I was too deception and talking that I skipped 1/4 of OPF, the module. Oh, of the module. Gotcha. Did you riz a red dragon height? No. So most of the campaigns I've played, we haven't really run into dragons. We ran into one in all the years I've played, but no, not really. Johnny. That sounds like a fun approach, not exactly combat-centric. Yeah. So D&D is complicated with combat, but when it comes to small interpersonal moments where it's getting the information, gathering information, finding things, that is a great time for your character to be built. You can find more about your character and your party's characters when you are not in combat. Combat is fun, and I really love combat because I like doing really weird things. My absolute favorite first go-to skill is some variation of improvised weapon. It is my favorite because the amount of times that I have thrown pocket sand or lit someone on fire with flour is very funny. But yeah, pretty fun. You get to use your real life knowledge of chemistry and physics to mess with people if you have improvised weapon. The amount of times I can just throw a chair and it counts is great. Bar fighting is also a good one. That's a good feat. I think it's a feat. It's been a while. There's so many systems in my head now that I'm like, I don't recall. I'd have to read any of the books. Plugbear, shout out to my favorite all-time character, Bleck Moitzley, author of Tales of Wit and Whimsy. Oh, that's a lovely name. Tales of Wit and Whimsy. Goblin bard / wizard who casts a spell by reading his terrible fan fiction. It's become tradition in both my and the DM I played for him to put a book by Bleck in every campaign we run. Here's the great thing. I am particularly bad at this, but the more I stretch my brain muscles, the better I'm getting at it. Where it's like, yeah, you have the spell Vicious Mockery. Instead of letting the DM come up with an insult, have the DM describe the character to you, and then you insult them. But get creative. You can't just go like, oh, this character has clothes that do not fit. It's just like, no. You gotta think hard. What is a really personal insult that would actually get you? Just channel your inner teenager. Channel your inner teenager that hates everything and everyone. It's great. I said, hello, Jeff. How's it going? Hey, short 6 streamers. Hello, Jeff. How goes it? Oh, I got a little bit of a headache. My throat is getting tired and sore, but that's okay. We're going to take it nice and easy. We're going slow today. I'm streaming for about, 2.5 hours. That's not bad. I'm just having fun talking about D&D. Improvised weapon, because you want to fight anywhere, but not with your hands, because that's too dangerous for you. Exactly. Jeff, Teenage Me was an absolute bastard, so that could be a problem. Oh, but that would work so well for Vicious Mockery. It could be funny. Gotta bust out the whole Tom Cardy verbal beatdown. Yes, exactly. His real name's Clarence, and Clarence's parents have a really good marriage. He's got a really good marriage. He's got a good thing going on at home. I think that's the fun thing as well. Like, for example, with, I think it was Plugbear's example of, this was a bard character who would read his fan fiction, and that's how he beat his enemies. By making them cringe so hard that they gave up. That's excellent! That's a great story character beat, you know? You spend all your money at the brothel because that fit looks like it cost a copper and half tops. That's a good one, man. That's a good one. Every single one of my now 123 characters on D&D Beyond populates my campaigns because all of them are in the same world. Every single one of the player characters on my games are also NPC in future campaigns. So far, it's made for such a fun array of characters and fan service for my players whenever they encounter their past selves. Oh, that's so fun. That's so cool. Remember, that entire campaign was an acid trip. I'm trying to remember what I did. I didn't really use Vicious Mockery when I was a bard in my first campaign because I didn't really know how the mechanics worked. I was really getting used to D&D. I think for the most part, the biggest memory I have, or I guess the most prominent memory I have, is when my party mates were fighting these guys that could not, that they were losing. Like, they were losing bad. And there was a burning house next to us with noises coming from it. So I was like, well, I'm not really built for combat, so let's go there. And so I ran into the fire and found a bunch of other adventurers stuck inside, so I helped them out, and then we beat the enemies. And that's when I was like, oh, interesting. So this isn't just about combat. Okay. We can do other things in this game. And that was the start of me being creative and sort of seeing that it's not just what the DM puts in front of me, it's what I can do outside of it too that can affect what happens. It was good. It was fun. Thank you for the 100 shinies. I used to make one of my DMs real mad with my real world history knowledge. Made a shadow monk as historically accurate to real world ninja as possible. The amount of times the DM wanted to strangle me because I managed to throw together a smoke bomb with household ingredients. Yes. Yes, you can do stuff like that. It's great. God, I miss D&D. D&D is fun. I do miss doing it in person because right now I do it online. But it's fun the way it is, you know? Aquamarine, thank you for the earwiggles. Jeff, looks like I can make a friend by walking into a burning building. Exactly. Exactly. Oh, it was funny. It was pretty funny. I was definitely the artist of the group when I was, whenever I was playing for almost every campaign I was in. So anytime someone gave me their OC, I was like, oh, perfect. I'll draw them. I'll draw them in the funny stuff they do during the campaign. And so it's nice that in the current campaign I'm playing, I'm not the only artist. There are multiple artists. And so it's really fun. I like it. Honey, guess what? What, Jedi? What's up? I think I'll go for another 10-ish minutes and then we'll call it a stream. You ever played with a player that tried being super OP? So interestingly, no, I haven't. Because for the most part, my character has been the one that is extremely OP. But here's the thing I love to do. Oh, congrats, Jedi. You hit 800k channel points. You made it. You made it, baby. But here's the thing. Most of the time, whenever I build a character, I intentionally build a super strong character, but I give them a character flaw that makes their power so infrequent and inconsistent that it's a detriment to it. So a lot of the times, like, I will, like, with my favorite character so far, I made it's a Goblin Barbarian. Absolutely Dex built her. She is so much fun. So Dex and Strength was bread and butter. I made her stupid. I made her so stupid that she could be so easily goaded into fights and would be obstinate. Now, here's the thing. It was not obstinate to the point where it would impede the plot or make someone else's story harder to do. It was basically a way to be funny without dragging other players down, you know? I specifically built it that way because I like building characters that way, but as well as if the encounter tends to be too much, then if needed, my character could help support the other new players a little bit. I didn't have to, thankfully, so it was great, but it was fun to build a character like that. I typically build my characters to be really cool and strong in some ways, but extremely lacking in others. Yes, I love min-maxing characters, but not in the way of, oh, I'm making my character optimally set up to be extremely good. It's like, no, no, no. I want to make this character so bad and stupid that they can't read. She's gonna go and break into this really heavily fortified base, find the information she needs, and not be able to read it. It's very fun. The other thing I did with her is, like, I made her embarrassed about the fact that she was illiterate. So she didn't tell the other party members. My teammates, the players knew, but their characters did not know. So I had to find very subtle ways to pretend to not be illiterate that it was very fun. It was very, very funny. I have a confession. I can read. I am, in fact, literate. I have been lying to you all this whole time. Exactly. Exactly, Jeff. Yeah. Myth, like a wizard who cannot speak so they can only cast spells without verbal components, or a cleric who's completely strictly pacifist and incapable of hurting anyone. Yeah. Can you imagine playing like a cleric who is a pacifist with a band of like marauding pirates? How would you play that? How would you pretend to be really gung ho about killing people and then go, ooh, I'm feeling a little faint today, guys. Let me sit this adventure out or something, you know? Like, oh, I didn't want to kill him. He begged and he said he had a family. So I let him escape. You know? It's got character character pieces that prevent you from being your absolute best self. And I think that is what makes a character way more interesting. McBoth, thank you for the breathe and hydrate. The cleric will probably have to be the voice of reason, constantly coming with excuses to get out of it. Yeah, exactly, exactly. I very specifically like the idea of a cleric that doesn't kill with marauders. Not for the, oh, guys, you shouldn't be killing. That's morally wrong. But he's trying to pretend to be a killer because that is way more interesting than, like, just being like the mother of the group, you know? Because you never want someone to be the mother of the group unless they specifically have that in their character, because it really pits the one player against the other ones. If you have a character that's constantly shaming the other characters for doing things, it's bad. If you have a character who doesn't do those things and is actively trying to fix the things that happen to the other characters, that's more interesting for sure. I don't know if that's the right move, but yeah. Jeff, we have Calidor the Skull Collector, Malfarius the Deceiving Blade, and Timothy the Accountant. We love Timothy. I think that's great. Jasper, thank you for the 100 shinies. In case I'm too busy later, thank you for the stream, honey. You've been a delight as always, especially in this violently boiling heat. Have a wonderful rest of day. I hope you feel better soon. Rest well, do not push yourself or I'll eat your furniture. No! My gaming chair! It actually needs to be replaced now that I think about it. My chair is old. It is an office chair. It's not even a gaming chair, but I do need to get a new one. It's fine. Wolfson, thank you for the 100 shinies. Speaking of history knowledge, here's something y'all can use when DMs or players say you can't have firearms in D&D. First firearm predates the rapier, so next time someone tells you D&D is medieval fantasy, guns didn't exist, you can fire back. Also works great if someone in the party is a rapier, you can tell the DM firearms or lose an entire class of melee weapon. Pick one. I think at that point, that's one of those things that you need to talk to about the DM. Yeah, if the DM is being annoying about historical accuracy, sure, you could pull that. But there's also a level of, like, do have a session 0 with your DM and go, hey, what is everyone expecting? What is the kind of world we're inhabiting? Like, sure, there can be guns, but do they have access to gunpowder? Like, talk about the world and what kind of characters you'd like to build in it. I think it's really important. Gaming chairs are usually trash. I'd say stick with an office chair. Just make sure it's got lumbar support. Yep. I do not want to get a, air quotes, gamer chair. I would 100% rather get an office chair. Because here's the thing. Office chairs are built for you to sit in them longer and have less back problems. Gaming chairs are fancy and they're fun and they're neat, but they will not give you the proper support you need to sit for a long time. Bro, we got audited by Timothy. We're cooked. It's so Jover. It's Jover. Yeah, tech levels can vary. What's available in one place may not be common in another. If the party wants guns, see if you can make an adventure out of it. Yeah, exactly. If I had a ranger whose familiar was a wheeled field cannon. That was fun. A field cannon. What the heck? Thank you, Beth. Did it talk? Did he have, like, opinions? Or... I guess when I think of familiar, I think of pets. Maybe that's the wrong way to think about familiars. Because a bird can be a familiar, but it's not really a pet. Can you imagine if you had like an animal familiar, but it wasn't like a pet? Like it listened to you, but just enough so that it wouldn't eat you. It would still kind of try to eat other people. No, but the ranger talked to it like it could hear. Okay, that's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. That's good. Oh, excuse me. Gotta go, honey. See you soon. See you later, Banjo. My throat is actually starting to hurt a lot too, so I think that is where we will call it for today. Because I'm going to nurse my throat back so that I am okay to stream on Monday. We're gonna take it easy, be nice to ourselves and gentle, not gonna stress. So sorry I woke up sick today. Like, I know I have no control over that, but still. We're just gonna take it easy and slow. Oof. What? Oh, what? Rest up, honey. Thanks for the stream. Yeah. Thank y'all very much for coming today. I do really, really appreciate it. It was very fun to just chill and take it easy and like rest, you know? I like it. I like having just a little chat and having fun. Let's see who is up right now. That's Blue's Clues, honey. That's Blue's Clues. Why do you just got Blue's Clues? Glad I got to catch some of your stream even if it was tail end. Yeah, thank you for coming. I'm glad you got to have a good time here. Cozy yapping gob. Yeah. Let's call it a cozy raid. Honestly, actually, yapping sounds good. You know what? That's a good one, Plugbear. That'll be the raid message. I'm just making sure the person I'm thinking of raiding is not ending stream. Oh, let's go say hi to this person. Different vibe, but let's go say hi to Fruit. Fruit right now is playing Battlefield 6. I think Zozo mentioned Battlefield 6 yesterday, so maybe we'll get to take a look. Get to see. And then afterwards, Fruit is going to do art and cyberpunk. So I'm excited. I love Fruit's art. Fruit's art is so beautiful. I really like looking at it. But yeah, I will see y'all on Monday at 6 p.m. PST or 9 p.m. EST. Gonna try to take it easy and chill. It'll be a fun time. Rest well, honey. Hope you feel better. Thank you. I hope y'all have a lovely day. I'm so excited to rest my throat because now I'm feeling it. So we're gonna be so nice to it. Soup time. Exactly, Jeff. Soup time. Oh, I just got some miso. Maybe I'll make some miso soup. I hear there's a lot more hype in the new Battlefield than the coming Black Ops 7. I'm excited. I don't know anything about Battlefield or for FPS, but could be neat. Could be fun to watch. See if I like it. Came at the very end of stream. Sorry about that, Emperor Reality. I'll be streaming on Monday at 6 p.m. PST or 9 p.m. EST. We're just going to be taking it easy. I will see y'all very soon. Please be good to yourselves, and I will take it easy until then. Make sure we're rested. Bye-bye. Thank you for coming today. Bye-bye.